Okay, today we're going to be going through the full pack out for the trip coming up. This is Chad with BeGoneForGood. Today I'm going to be talking about everything I'll be taking on this trip to the Mid-Atlantic BDR in just a couple of weeks, including my sleeping system and my tent, to my cooking gear and my electronics. All of it will be covered in a little bit of detail today so you can get a good handle on what I'm putting on the bike for this trip. First off, I'm going to talk about my sleeping bag. Now this is a +5 sleeping bag. It's just some ordinary kind of generic one I got off of Amazon. I'll leave a link below in the description if you want to take a look at it. I also did a video up here of the 3 things that I need most comfortably to be able to sleep while I'm on the road. You can take a look at that. It talks a little bit more detail about the sleeping bag in particular. But this is what I'm going to be taking with me for my sleeping bag. I do not keep it in this contraption here. I do not have it like compressed down. I just stuff it in where I can fit it. I find that being able to push it in around the other clothes I have or around my computer is a better way to store it than this huge block that I take with me. I'll also have my whoopee with me. This is essentially just like a really nice polyester blanket that I have. I use this most often if I'm not in super cold temperatures. I lay on top of my bag and then I use this to actually cover up with. I find it breathes a lot better. I don't get as hot during the course of the night. I can get my feet out or feet back in. All sorts of sleeping stuff you don't need to know about. But this thing comes in super handy if you're traveling in any weather that I'd say is above 40 degrees all the way up to 100 degrees. This is what I'm going to be sleeping with. Next up, I have my sleeping pad. This is a great sleeping pad just because it's like 3 inches thick. It's super thick, super comfortable. It may be a little bit skinny. People have talked about it as my surfboard because it kind of looks like that. But it's also foil lined, so it's really good at keeping the cold from the ground coming up through the sleeping mat and affecting your sleep. It's a comfortable sleep, it's a warm sleep, and it's a necessary item for my camping trip, and it will be coming this year as well. Also part of my sleep gear, and a brand new item that I'll be bringing this year, is my new sleep pillow. Now this is really cool because it's got the ability to be blown up, so it's kind of a big pillow, but it's also got memory foam on it. So I think this is going to be a super comfortable pillow to use. I have not used it before. That's probably not a great idea to have the first use be while you're on the trip. But I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna take my chances. I'm gonna try this out on the trip. There will be a better review. This is a Nemo Philo Luxury. So I'm hoping that it is as good as its name. I hope it's luxurious. I hope it's comfortable, and you'll see it once we get out on the trip. For my camp clothes, I always have something pretty specific with me. I have a hat just in case we're out in the sun. I need to shade my eyes a little bit. I always have a mosquito net just because I do not do well with bugs. It annoys the bejeez out of me and my morale goes straight down. I keep a clean t-shirt, a clean pair of shorts, and a sweatshirt with me inside the tent at all times. That's so no matter how dirty the day was, how awful we got, I can always strip down to something that's nice and clean, nice and warm, and stick into that sleeping bag. And the same thing happens in the morning. All the clean stuff, or relatively clean stuff, comes off, goes into the bag, and that's ready to go for that evening. All the dirty stuff goes back on and I deal with that during the course of the day. This is not my change of clothes. So they're 2 separate things. I bring sleep clothes and I bring a change of clothes. The positive of the sweatshirt in there, which probably is a little bit of overkill for July, is that I can also use that as a pillow or to spread over some other stuff to kind of soften it up. It's just a nice item to have that you can use for multi-purposes, and it just is perfect inside the tent. Another item I have with me routinely when I go out camping is a headlamp. Generally, it was because we were always pulling into camp super late, and the only way to unpack and get stuff set up by the light of the moon at best was to have a headlamp with us. Also, as you're moving around in the night and having to go to the bathroom or needing to get some extra stuff, you definitely want to have one of these so you don't trip over a branch and fall into a ravine or smash your face off of something. This is always a good item to have with you. I find also while I'm inside the tent, if I've got to do any editing or if I want to write down notes or read during the evening, this is a great way to do it. Sometimes you can just hang it at the top of the tent and it provides a really nice broad light over the entire tent if you need to move things around or shuffle things up while you're in your tent in the evening. So this is always going to be with me. I'll probably also take a second set of batteries just because the last thing you want to have is something like this out there that's just dead weight because the batteries died in it. So that'll be with me as well. As most of you know who are watching this channel, this is gonna be the first time where I really concentrate on cooking off the bike for my meals, whether that's breakfast or lunch or dinner. Lunch we'll probably do sandwiches or maybe stop somewhere, but for breakfast and dinner, I'll definitely be cooking off of the bike. So for that, I'm gonna be bringing my old trusty Jetboil. I got this when I was initially in the military and when we traveled on trips then. This was just a vital piece of gear. I'll be using it this year, hopefully to cook in and to get my boiled water and all the things necessary to do this. I have not been looking up recipes. I have not been preparing for this properly, so it could be a real mess when we get out there, but hopefully this will take care of what I need as far as cooking is concerned. Along with the Jetboil, I'll be bringing this pan. It's a nice, easy camp pan. It's got the handles that fold out. It's got this easy little bowl that comes along with it, and it's specifically made for the Jetboil, as you can see by this waffling down here, to heat up really nicely. I'm hoping that anything I can't cook in the Jetboil will work in this pan just fine. Again, this is not something that I've used a lot or really at all, so this whole process could be a little bit of a guess and test type of thing. I'm hoping I'll be able to do breakfast and dinner in here and make a reasonably good meal while I'm on the road. Also getting packed with my cook stuff is gonna be some of my accessories. So I've got my little titanium spoon here, I've got a scouring pad so I can clean the dishes, and a cutting board. I'll probably just use my pocket knife along with this, but this is in case I want to cut up some tomatoes or potatoes or some of the meat along the way. I figure I should have a cutting board. I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to cooking, so any of you guys out there that have got some experience doing this or suggestions for how I could eliminate some of this or things I should definitely be bringing along, leave me a comment down below and I'd love to hear some suggestions. I've only got about 2 weeks, so it can't be anything super extensive, but I'd love to hear what you guys do while you're on your camping trips. Lastly, for my cooking and camp gear, I am going to be bringing this kitchen sink. It's essentially just a big fold-out tub of water. This may not come with me. I don't know if this is important. We've got spray bottles out there. We've got water that we'll have available. So I don't know that this is necessarily vital. It's not like we're gonna be like deep in the backwoods or anything like that. So this may get left behind. Maybe not. I don't know. If I've got room, this could come along with. I figure it doesn't hurt to have a big garbage bag or big capability of holding a lot of water all at once if you need to dunk things or wash stuff off or whatever you're gonna need it for. Maybe this comes. Again, for any of you that have been paying attention to the channel over the last couple of years, I do really concentrate a lot on security, both on and off the bike. I have a trauma kit that I carry with me at all times, just in case there's severe accidents. But for this trip, I think I might also carry just a nice little first aid kit. Just bumps, bruises, antiseptic, Band-Aids, some moleskin, really simple stuff that you probably do without, but I might bring it just in case if we have some minor issues out there, bug bites, things like that. I'll take this. It's an easy thing to pack. It doesn't take up a whole lot of room. And what's the harm that could come from having a little extra preparation? I'll also be taking a bunch of extra dry bags. Probably not all of these. I'll pick and choose maybe 3 of them. But I take extra dry bags just in case a pair of pants gets wet, or if I want to carry something completely separate, if the camera needs to be wrapped up because we're going through water crossings or something. It's nice to have dry bags available just in case you need to separate stuff out or keep things specifically dry on your trip. And once they're rolled down to nothing, it's really not a huge amount of space that these take up when they're empty or amount of weight. So why not bring them, right? Can't go on a trail trip without taking tools. I'll be taking my fatty tool roll. I've stocked this recently with everything I did for my tire change, my brake change, and all of the extras that I have on the bike. Hopefully this is everything that I would ever need. Generally when I do work on the bike, I try to work out of this to make sure that everything that I need for the bike is in here, but sometimes I miss some items or whatever, but this is gonna be the closest thing I have to a full toolkit while I'm on the road this time. Hey, this is Chad with the edit. I forgot one thing, no big deal, but another item that I'm going to be taking along with me that is really important, and I can't believe I forgot it, is gonna be my journal, my logbook. I detail the shots that I have, I detail how I'm feeling, the places that we stop, everything that's going on, all of those things that you think you're gonna remember for a long time that will slip out of your mind 24 hours later. This is gonna be along with me, as well as the Butler maps for the Mid-Atlantic BDR. Obviously, we're gonna be using tracks for most of this. We'll be using GPS, so this probably isn't vitally important. I just really like having one of these handy because it gets your whole trip in front of you. You can see places that you want to stop, how far you've come, how far you have to go, in a way that I don't think the GPS tracks does for you quite as nicely. It's a nice little thing to have handy if you do ever need to talk to somebody about where you're looking to go and what you want to do. This is very, very helpful for that very purpose. Up next, we have the tent, which is really pretty simple. It's just this Nature's Hike one. It's a cheapie that I got off of Amazon probably 5 years ago. I didn't expect to be using it this long. I didn't expect it to be this good, but it has lasted really well. I want to say it was only like $89. There'll be a link down in the description if you're interested in getting this or one like it. Again, the same as the sleeping bag, I don't keep it in this configuration. I tend to strip it all out. I'll take the fly and I'll just stuff that into one of the saddlebags. And for the tent itself, I actually stuff that inside a dry bag to make sure that when I pull that out, it's dry. But it's just a lot easier to move and push around stuff than it is necessarily to hold in this big bag. I also routinely, if I have the space, will carry a ground cloth. Now this is basically just a military poncho. There is no hole in it, so maybe a poncho liner, I don't know. It's just a Gore-Tex piece of fabric. Now I can lay this on the ground if I want a ground cloth. I can throw this over my shoulders if it's raining. I can throw it over the bike if we want to do a little bit more stealth camping or something like that. It's just a perfect utility piece that I can have. If my fly has some issues, I can stretch it over top of the fly and add a little extra rain or water protection. It's a really good item to have. It's not heavy and it rolls down really, really tight when you need to, but you'll find 1,000 uses once you're out there. Even if you need a tarp for while you're eating or while you're working on the bike, this is the go-to for it. All this gear is gonna be going into the Reckless 80 from Moscow Moto. Now on the AT, this doesn't fit perfectly, but it fits well enough to provide me everything that I need for the trip. I'll be doing an installation of this and kind of a pack out of this on the bike for next week's video. So if you want to find out more about the Reckless 80 from Moscow and how it fits on the AT, definitely subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you get a notification when I put that one up, and hit a thumbs up for this video because it just really helps us out. But everything will be going in the Reckless 80 for this trip. So all of the camera gear that goes along with me, including the drone, the batteries, all the charging cables, everything that I need to shoot this trip as best as possible, including the GoPros, goes into this bag right here. Now this isn't waterproof, so I'll generally dry bag this or stick it in something to make sure that no water gets into this or doesn't have any issues with that. I try to pack this as safe as possible on the bike because there's a lot of really expensive equipment in here that I don't want falling out or getting crushed underneath the bike if I tip over anything. I've already done a full review of everything that I've got in here, so if you want to see that, it's linked up here. You can go see that video, and it talks about all the electronics that I take with me, all the camera equipment, how I shoot is all in this bag, and that's in a previous video. But this is going to be a very important part of this trip because I'm planning on shooting the whole thing and shooting it well. All right, that's pretty much everything that goes with me on the bike other than what I have in my tank bag, which I'll run through probably while we're out on the trail just because it's a little bit easier to talk about that stuff. I do want to suggest anybody who's going to be going out on the trail, I have a Garmin InReach that's for emergency stuff, and if I need to get text messages out in places where I don't have cell signal, it is amazing. It's probably one of the most important pieces of kit that I carry with me routinely, and I would make that suggestion. You're not seeing it here because that'll be in the tank bag video, but that is always a great piece of gear to have with you. Probably more important than just about any singular item that I have down here as well. I want to thank everybody for watching this video. We are really coming down to the nitty-gritty here. We've got less than 2 weeks before I leave for this trip, and I'm super excited for it. I also wanted to let everybody know we have a Patreon page now where you can support the channel. Just for $3 a month, you get access to a ton of extra content as far as packing stuff out, and we'll do interviews while we're on the road, just everything that's out there. New stickers will be coming out to you as soon as we get them. We do have a trip sticker specifically for this run that we're going to be offering. It's really no charge. You just become a member of the Patreon page and we'll send that out to you. You can find a link down in the description for the Patreon page. Check it out. Let us know what you think, and if you're interested in supporting the channel a little bit further, we'd really appreciate it. For everybody out there that's subscribed to the channel, thank you for coming back. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all of your support thus far. It's been huge. If you're not a subscriber already and you like adventure bike stuff and travels around the United States and through Central America and Mexico, definitely subscribe to the channel. We're gonna be producing a ton of content over the next year, 2 years as we do a bunch of these trips. I'm very, very excited. I'll hope you join us. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any questions about the gear that I'm taking, any suggestions for things that I've missed or things that I could skip, definitely let me know down in the comments. I'll try and get answers out to everybody over the course of the next couple of weeks. Thank you again. Can't wait to get out of here. Bye.